Now, time for perspective. And I thought we were dying, says one mother, Fajia Hussain, recounting what happened to her. It's in an article published on UNICEF's website. She recounts how, when the explosion in Lebanon devastated her home on August the 4th, she watched as her husband was injured. She took his hand and helped him up, and then realised she still hadn't heard her children's voices. Just one story, and as the website says, every family has their own story to show how devastating the explosion in Lebanon was. Her children okay, by the way, but nearly 2 months on, has anything got better? Well, with me is UNICEF's Deputy Representative Violet Speek-Warnery. Thanks very much for being with us on the programme. I'm going to start with that question. Has anything got better 2 months on from what happened?
Well, I think that's a very difficult question to answer. I think things as such haven't evolved very strongly. Also, we just saw during the weekend that politically there hasn't been an agreement found. And what is needed, of course, there's humanitarian needs, very urgent humanitarian needs that to a certain extent are being met by the multiple NGOs and the UN agencies, but that's not enough. This country needs an overhaul, needs reforms, needs a different way of looking and thinking of supporting families and children. You know, it's a quadruple crisis at the moment ongoing, from refugees to political, social, economic crisis, to COVID on top of that, and now on top of that, the Beirut blast that you just explained, and also what families experience from that.
So what kind of conditions are people actually living under then?
Well, very difficult. If you just think of, the consumer price index has gone up by 120%. Prices of food have gone up by almost 350% over the year. People have challenges accessing the money if they do have money in banks. So unemployment has gone up because of the COVID. So it's very, very difficult. People can't pay their rent. It's very difficult to find food with good prices. Education, children haven't been really in school last year because of COVID, which was about 5 months. And now again, we've been postponing the school start of it. This year by another 2 weeks. So, the entire basic services is really difficult at the moment. And there's no real social safety net system in this country either. So people can't really rely on a social assurance or social safety nets to get them through these periods, these very, very difficult periods at the moment.
You mentioned NGOs and obviously organisations like UNICEF as well. I mean, what can you actually do? I mean, is what you're doing, if you're honest, just a drop in the ocean?
We're all doing a lot. They're, trying to maintain the basic services, maintaining public health services, supporting the Ministry of Education to bring schools back into being and to have a blended approach of online and going to school. There are social safety net, humanitarian systems coming into place, but indeed, it's not enough. There needs to be systems in place to maintain these humanitarian approaches, and it's not a one-day event that we're trying to support at the moment. People need longer-term perspectives and predictability and changes.
And all of that needs a government, doesn't it? I mean, that's exactly what Emmanuel Macron was talking about last night in what some would say was quite an angry speech, accusing the leaders there of a collective betrayal of the people of Lebanon. I mean, is he right to say, in the first place, you need to have a government and then we can talk about aid?
Well, that's very difficult to say as a humanitarian organization. We can't leave people behind. So we definitely need humanitarian support ASAP, and we need it now. And we need definite support that needs to be out there for people. But of course, for the longer haul, yes, it would be the responsibility of a government to take that forward. So it has to be a two-pronged approach. We need urgent support and maintaining this urgent support that is needed. And as you said, it's a drop in the ocean at the moment. We need much more humanitarian support at the moment than we're getting and that we're able to provide. And then indeed something predictable needs to be coming in place, which would point to a government that can make those reforms.
And does it surprise you? I mean, a lot of people were quite surprised by the tone of Macron's speech, that he was so angry. I mean, talking to ordinary people on the streets there, how do they feel about the way their government and their politicians are behaving?
Yeah, I think, for the people on the street, people are very tired. It's been a very difficult year from, a revolution kind of protest in the beginning of October last year to then the severe economic crisis that came on top of that with massive unemployment, the COVID, and now this blast. So people are very tired of the difficulty that they're going through, and where is it going after this? Is there any sort of future and hope? And I think this is the difficulty that they're in. There's their tiredness, and where's the perspective of hope? What's the future going to bring? And when you think of your families and your children, what are you going to bring to your children? So I think this is it. It's a moment of desperation, and hope being limited at the moment.
Good to talk to you today. Thank you very much for being with us on the programme. That's Violet Speek-Warnery from UNICEF, a Deputy Representative there for Lebanon. Thanks very much. If you're just tuning in, let's